and we are coming to the end of our conference of the ERTMS 2024 after more than 2 days of intensive discussions. We are coming to our conclusions, and please welcome with me, with a warm applause, Magda Kopczyńska, Director-General of DG Move. Magda, please give us the concluding remarks and the key messages from the Commission.
Thank you, Joseph. Very warm. Good afternoon to everybody. 2 challenges in one. Giving closing remarks after 3 days of a conference that I didn't participate in, as you might have noticed, and giving closing remarks when we are already 10 minutes late, and when I was coming into the room, the lunch was being prepared. Which means thank you so much, Joseph, for putting me in this very convenient situation. Very much appreciated, but I know you mean well. Seriously speaking, I'm very happy to be here. And again, yes, I have missed conference, but quite a few colleagues are here. I've been giving lively and live updates from what's been happening here, including that, as far as I understand, we now have a new way of decrypting ERTMS. Is everything really turns much simpler? According to what Christian told me, this is now the official reading of the abbreviation. Thank you so much for coming here again for such a well-attended conference. Another proof that the topic of ERTMS does matter. And I hope everybody in the room and those who are listening connected do know about it very well. As sometimes happens for topics that matter, we all know it's important, we all know more should happen, and somehow, still, we are not there yet. And I'm sure you have heard that number repeated several times in the course of those 3 days. 16% on EU core rail network when it comes to rolling out of ERTMS is definitely not enough. Granted, 30% coming in the near future because of all the contracts that are there, but we do have to do more, and we do have to do faster. And I very much register that was a strong message that did come from your discussions and from all the panels and also discussions on the side when it comes to what can be done and how things can be done to make sure that ERTMS really becomes this one European system for traffic management when it comes to rail. I like to think that when it comes to our job on the European Commission side, when it comes to the regulatory framework, we have done our part. We revised the control command and signaling technical specifications for interoperability, which brought together the changes that so many of you have been talking and asking us for. And again, readiness for FRMCS, and also the first preparation, the first steps for automated train operations. In addition, yesterday, the day before yesterday, European Parliament finally voted confirming that the new Trans-European Transport Network regulation is finally becoming a reality. It does include the ambitious trackside ERTMS deployment plans until 2030 and 2050, and it also puts in place for the first time, and that's really important, compulsory targets for shutting off national signaling system. And we know in this room that we need those 2 things to be happening in parallel. That's why I'm saying ERTMS is the one unique European system that has to be put in place and has to start functioning. This shutting down will start in 2040 on the core network, and I believe we have quite a lot of time to be properly prepared and to make sure that we have the European system in place when that shutting down takes place. So as I said, this conference, as you know very well, it's not the first conference about that, not the first ERTMS conference about that, is about speeding up. The composition of people in the room and those connected, I think, offers us a good combination of all the relevant actors, interested, concerned, those that will benefit from ERTMS deployment happening faster, and those who, like us, like the agency, have an important role to play to make that happen. When it comes to those roles shared between us, when I look at what we, together with ERA and with national authorities, what we need to do, in addition to coming up with that legislation, making sure that that legislation is properly implemented, enforced, that there are policies and procedures to support ERTMS, and they need to be happening in a harmonized manner, and they need to be happening in a simplified way, also to make sure that we can help to reduce the overall costs, which undoubtedly are there. We need procedures that will not duplicate each other, and we need, I think, and that's a word we often use in different contexts, we also need trust between institutions, between European and national institutions, to make sure that all who are involved in certification and authorization processes do trust those other actors being part of the same processes, because otherwise, again, this one unique European system will not really start being rolled out properly. This conference is one of great opportunities to make sure that in addition to all the official procedures that are in place, all the official work that ERA is doing, that also those unofficial contacts to improve understanding and exchange of information and exchange of the trust is happening in the right format. But when talking about those different roles that we have to play, there is also roles or things to do when it comes to stakeholders. So when I look at what infrastructure managers and railway undertakings can do, that would be trying to consider ordering ERTMS equipment as standardized as possible. And I hope that exchanges on those best practices of implementation of ERTMS will help to find ways what to do so that we reduce time, we reduce complexity, but we also look at benefits from having that harmonized equipment being put in place as much as possible. And I also hope that all those discussions today and all the regulatory framework which is there ahead will convince manufacturers that when it comes to demand for what you manufacture, it will not go down, quite the contrary. So we also need you to ramp up production because we need that equipment available. And then we come down to, in addition to this harmonized equipment, also this question of national or even company-specific requirements. I really believe that we need to find a better balance between striving for a European harmonized system and then using some very specific requirements which can maybe work well for a short time, but if they don't fit well into this overall harmonized mid to long-term framework, then we'll need to keep changing them all the time. And this is not what I understand manufacturers would like to see. So one thing that I can put on the table in addition is that from our side, from the Commission side, we will really continue to engage with the industry to keep looking for that golden middle between coming up with more and more and more innovative solutions that are also being developed by Europe's Rail as part of the joint undertaking work program and ambitions, but on the other hand, to avoid a situation that we need to update the systemic requirements all the time, because that also doesn't work for the manufacturers. Again, you tell me whether this golden middle is there already or whether there's something more where we can sit and discuss with you, again, to match between the regulatory framework which we have, the upgrades that need to happen, and on the same time, some more predictability and stability when it comes to the specific pieces of equipment that need to be put in place. But I think, I mean, I could now probably talk a bit more here when it comes to what can that mean in practice, but again, I will reserve time for that and we'll have opportunities to discuss. But, and now I can see that Joseph in a second will start getting a bit nervous because now I'm really talking into the lunchtime. But what I wanted to say is that one thing that I heard from those colleagues of mine who have been here in that room for those 3 days, that there is already a visible shift in terms of optimism when it comes for the future of ERTMS deployment. Yes, we are trying to change a Europe-wide system. and changing a Europe-wide system is never easy. So it's understandable that it has taken time. But I really believe that at this moment, with the regulatory framework that we have in place, with the new TEN-T regulation, with all the work that is happening as part of Europe Rail, with the excellence and expertise that ERA has and ERA can offer in terms of certification and working with authorities, but also a little bit with industry to make sure that the system is being rolled out quickly, we are at the right place to make things work fast. And without necessarily looking to the stars, as we heard in the last panel, looking into the future opportunities that will be brought also by satellite communication, I very much hope that when we meet in 2 years at the next ERTMS conference, the number 16% deployed on core network will be the number of the past and will have much more optimistic outcomes. Thank you so much for joining us here. Enjoy the lunch and do enjoy everything that ERA has put to place, because it is 20 years of ERA that we are celebrating today as well. Thank you.
Many thanks, Magda, for your excellent summary, not only of the background, but also of the challenges. Now, I have to quickly wrap up 3 days of conference. It was another successful round of interaction. One of the purposes of the ERA ERTMS conferences is to bring people together. The motto of this conference was ERTMS, make it happen. And we had many exchanges. We had the public exchanges here in the large hall, where we got excellent presentations, giving us the status of the legal framework, but giving us also a good return of experience, and this morning an outlook into the future, putting ERTMS in the context of making the European transport system more environmentally friendly, making the modal shift to rail possible by making rail affordable. We heard about the ERTMS specifications, about the stability of the specification planning. We also heard that we have reached a pretty high maturity, in particular with the baseline 3, and we also learned that with the game changers, ATO, with the modularity, but also with the new radio system, FRMCS, we will get a significant number of new opportunities. But from the return of experience, we have also heard some challenges, and the ETCS system compatibility checks, ESC, are certainly amongst the challenges that we will be tackling in the next couple of months. ERA will deliver a recommendation by the beginning of June, and together with the Commission, we will take quick action. Let me thank all speakers, all moderators, and you, the audience, for a very constructive atmosphere. I believe all the discussions have been solution-oriented and makes me actually quite optimistic that we really can make it happen for ERTMS. And like Magda, I'm looking forward to a significant progress in the deployment for ERTMS 2026. Thank you all for coming. Thanks to the technical staff. Thanks to the ERA communication team and also the steering committee of the conference, ERA and the sector, who have prepared an excellent program. Let me just close by thanking you again and mentioning the departure of the buses for the technical visits. Please be at the reception desk at 1:30, and the buses will depart at 13:45 sharp, at least for the first departures. So Thank you again, and I herewith close the conference. Enjoy lunch and have a safe trip home. Thank you very much.